Looks like a news report. All
Oh,
right.
not muted.
We'll let people. It's a new time, so
Yeah,
that doesn't help.
a new day and a new time.
Even though I've only done it twice, I could see how that could get confusing. So we're gonna let people trickle in. Is this working? Yes. Okay. I'll just beat on it.
That should help.
All right, we'll give it a few more minutes. I kind of made this really last minute, so it's really last minute and at like 10:30 p.m.
Oh,
yesterday night. So
giving people a lot of warning. Good job.
I know. But if you're on the Facebook page, I gave pretty good warning because I also did a little community post on YouTube, and that is supposed to pop up in your like in your subscription listing when someone does that. So
I didn't see it.
hopefully that worked. Looks like we got some people kind of coming in. We got Austin and Aiden.
And Cameron, apparently.
I don't think that's true, Cameron. But I digress. So, welcome to the live stream if y'all are here. My name is Bryant, and I'm here with Xander. Xander actually jumped in with us the last time we did one of these. So, for those of you who weren't there, Xander is a moderator for our social media outlets. He's also kind of the go-to for Fiesta Texas updates when I can't go to San Antonio, which is probably going to really be a thing now. We'll see how that kind of pans out.
Yeah.
Just to give y'all a few updates about what we've been doing, or at least what I've been doing with the websites. I've taken this time to kind of get things better, if that makes sense. I've refined the Six Flags Over Texas history timeline at SFOT source. That's always constantly a work in progress, but there's been new information added. The information's been cleared up a little bit. The other thing that has happened at SFFT source is we've started to compile tons of show listings from past years. So if you visit the entertainment page and you go to the specific performance venue pages, you can actually see what was playing in that theater in 1992 and, whatever other years we have. So that's a huge work in progress. It's coming together a little bit. There's probably about 70 to 75% of information available on that, and we've actually opened that up to you guys to kind of send stuff in. So visit our Facebook page, and if you know about Fiesta Texas show info, preferably I would say like the early 90s to late 90s, that would be super helpful. We did find all of the opening season entertainment, but beyond that, it's like who knows? It's so weird that park is not documented.
You can find it here and there, and really just through brochures that you can find on the internet, but like there's nothing official anywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of bizarre. But just saying hi to all the people who have jumped in. Another thing that we did that I almost forgot to bring up is the Facebook group is no more. I've gotten a couple comments on that. There's a couple reasons behind that. Number one, it was kind of our least active way to communicate to people. And that was okay. But I think more importantly, what is kind of happening in this region, in the Texas region, is you have 4 or 5 different Facebook groups that are all for the same thing. So what happens is you have, Jimmy over here who posted something to one group, and then he goes and posts it to the other 6 groups. And that's cool that you're spreading information, but I mean, that kind of makes most of those groups, not really matter, if that makes sense. So like if they're all just saying the same thing all the time, then there's not a lot of value in that. So dropping the group, kind of gives me and Xander more time to focus on other stuff without having to deal with the dramatics that come with having a group. As I'm sure a lot of y'all are aware of on the internet. It is the internet. It's a wild place. And yeah, so the YouTube channel, it gets 15 to 50,000 unique video views a month, and the websites have 5 to 10,000 unique hits a month. So I'm staying in my lane and knowing what the value is for what we offer, and I think that those are the 2 focuses. Of course, we still have the Facebook page, so and you can comment on there and interact on there, and of course interact here. So Carlos said SFFT source isn't working for him. That's interesting.
I was able to pull it up, but I don't know.
Check your cookies, Carlos. Check your cookies or something. I don't know. So I know there's been a lot of, dramatic stuff about theme parks opening, but we're going to keep it kind of lighthearted here at the beginning and just kind of jump back through nostalgia a little bit. And the first question I pose to you, Xander, is what is your earliest theme park memory or memories?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few. I know my earliest were definitely Six Flags Over Texas. I remember the weirdest thing. I remember riding the Spelunker's Cave, but I only remember one part of it because I was really young at that point. But there was a storm scene that scared the crap out of me, and that's why I remember it. But then after that, I know my first earliest roller coaster memory was my dad taking me to ride Shockwave and waiting in line for probably an hour and getting up there and being too scared to ride and him being very mad at me. Honestly, that's my earliest one. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to think about. I wasn't really into amusement parks until I was 12. So, I mean, after that, it was everything. I rode Mr. Freeze, was my first real roller coaster. So I was just ready to go after that.
It's a really intense first roller coaster.
Yeah, it wasn't my choice to ride it, but it is what it is.
So I posed this question to you maybe a week ago so you could think on it. And I had to really think about it because I was terrified of theme parks as a child. Well, not theme parks, but rides. Yeah. As a child. And so it kind of led to me blocking a lot of that out of my mind.
I hear you. Yep, same.
And then that's why I remember what I did. And I was able to start piecing stuff together. And I think the first time I remember, so it's kind of weird. I definitely remember going to Silver Dollar City probably at 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
During Christmas. And of course the only thing we did there was look at Christmas lights. And I think back then that was probably most of what you
probably had the train, and that's probably about it.
Yeah, so it's not what it used to be, in a good way, of course. But I think substantial theme park visit, the first one I remember is Six Flags Over Texas in 1997. Because I vividly remember the dancing fountains in the USA. I guess it was probably right around the entrance to Looney Tunes. I can't really place it in my mind.
Oh, the jumping fountains.
Yeah, the jumping fountains.
Yeah, I remember those. Yep. It was where the stage used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I specifically remember those. I remember seeing the construction for Mr. Freeze and seeing like a coming soon sign, and I think the reason I remember that is because I was like, absolutely not. um, and the first roller coaster I rode there, which was in 1997, was Judge Roy Scream, and I was absolutely terrified.
Yeah, I would not have done that at that age. There's no way.
Beyond belief terrified. Um, which meant I didn't get on a roller coaster again until 2002, which was at
Oh
Indiana
wow.
Beach.
Okay.
Um, so
That's an interesting place to get back into it.
yeah, and it wasn't very easy, but it was actually a school field trip, so it was there was a lot of peer pressure involved. I think when all of your friends,
That's how I got on Mr. Freeze.
yeah, when you have all of your friends running up to get on a ride, and then you're just kind of there, you're thinking like, dang, I better go get on the ride, otherwise I look like a sucker. So
Pretty much,
um,
yeah.
ended up on Cornball Express, realized that roller coasters are awesome, and went from there. So
Nice.
Zach said his earliest was Penny Whistle Park in East Dallas.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that place is. Does that make me a
It was
bad person?
it was a very small amusement park, right off of Northwest Highway in Dallas.
Okay.
There's
Very cool.
still, you can kind of still see some remnants in a way if you know where to look, but it was very small. But a lot of people, like a lot of Dallas people, that'll be their first memory of going to an amusement park is Penny Whistle.
That makes sense. That's cool. I love the little, I love little family-owned theme parks, and
Yep.
um, not to get off on a tangent too far, but um, when things, I'm not gonna say get back to normal, but when things begin to normalize a little bit more, make sure y'all are visiting, the family-owned theme parks, because they're in big trouble.
Yeah, they don't
Joyland,
have shareholders to fall back on and raise funding.
yeah, I know Joyland. They posted something on Facebook yesterday, basically, saying contact your representatives, and um, it's not that they don't care about the safety of their guests. I think this is like a life or death situation for their business.
Yep,
So it's we're in some crazy times, because it's kind of a double-edged sword of what is safe versus what will we not get to enjoy anymore after this.
definitely. You don't want to see everybody lose their livelihoods.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So um, I was kind of hoping more people would talk about their
First
their
memories.
first memory, but I guess nobody remembers their first memory. So or
You
they're
can't not remember your first memory if we want to be technical.
or they're being shy.
That's
But
probably more like it.
I digress. We will move on to the next topic, which is, what is your favorite theme park event? And this could be
Hmm.
anything.
I mean, we may duplicate our answer, but mine is definitely not Scary Farm. Are we duplicating?
Yes, we are.
But that's probably because we also experienced the exact same event at the exact same time because we were there together. But I think Not Scary Farm is an incredible display of what you can do with not a huge Disney or Universal budget, um, and still just be way better than what anybody else has been able to accomplish,
So
including Universal some years.
I would have to agree with you. Number one, the thing that I really like about it is the creativity involved.
Yep.
And this is no knock on Universal at all, but with Universal, you have all of you have all of the concepts that have already been created for TV shows and movies to fall back
Yep.
on. Whereas at Knott's, you are creating everything, from scratch. Um, and obviously, I haven't been to Halloween Horror Nights, but it doesn't seem like they follow the same concepts of how to creatively scare you.
It just depends. I had more positive experience with the actual scares in Orlando than in Hollywood.
Hmm.
I think Hollywood was the same scare over and over and over again. I definitely find like even at Universal, I like the non intellectual can't say the words intellectual property mazes better than the ones that like Universal Monsters and all the movies they can fall back on. I really enjoy the creative ones, so I think that's probably what leads me to enjoy Knott's more. Because it's really the same level haunted house. I mean, they are not doing a low budget painting a couple of pieces of plywood and slapping them up and calling it a haunted house. So
I gotcha. Yeah. I don't know. I was so blown away with because before going to Knott's, if I was going to a Halloween theme park event, it was probably at a Six Flags. Let's be honest, because that's what we have available to us here. Um, but
not
just
that Six Flags can't do a good haunted house, because we've seen that too. Magic
um,
Mountain,
yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
it was interesting because I had never experienced, in a theme park setting, someone flying in from the ceiling to scare me, or someone coming in from the ground.
Yeah, they're very creative with all the different ways that they can get you. I mean, things at eye level aren't as scary once you're used to where they're going to come from and what it's going to be. But
Right.
when you change it up, I'm not looking anywhere else. I don't know where to look. And that even makes the eye level thing scarier because you're not only looking at that level.
Yeah, and of course, all of the haunted houses are sufficiently staffed, and that makes a difference as
It's a
well.
huge difference, yes.
There aren't two scare actors in the house running around the back to the other side to get you again, like I've seen at some parks that will not be named. Um,
Yes.
but I think the other important thing about Knott's is that they always it's a 100% effort. And I've only gone to the event twice, but it was 2 different years, and the crowd situation and was different both times. When we went, it was a little bit busy. When I
Hmm.
actually went the second year, it was like the first week of the event, I think, and it wasn't as busy. Um, but it was still just full out, crazy Halloween
Yeah.
fun. Um, and
You pay the same for the ticket every night, and they know that.
yeah,
No matter
yeah,
if it's
and
busy or not busy, they're very in tune with that.
yeah, and I think with like Six Flags Over Texas, you don't even know. You're like, okay, Fright Fest was pretty good last year. What's it gonna be like this year? And there's never like a gauge of consistency with that event. Um,
I mean, even the same going through the same haunted house the same night, you don't have the same experience at Six Flags. I don't feel like.
yeah, yeah, that it it's true. I mean,
It's the nature of the beast, I guess. It's a whole different animal trying to staff a Six Flags park versus trying to staff Cedar Fair Park. Six Flags. I mean, even when we worked there, we had a lot of people compared to what they have now.
oh yeah,
So, and we felt like we had nobody. So I can't even imagine trying to staff that for a Halloween event.
yeah, for sure. I Since we had the same answer, I'm curious. What is your favorite food-related theme park event?
Oh, well, you can't put me on the spot like that. I don't. Hmm. I mean, I hate to go back to Disney, but it's definitely Food and Wine Festival at Epcot for me. But that's just because you get such high quality food, and it's such a like fun experience to walk around Epcot, no matter what time of year it is. So it's just kind of like it brings it all together. You can probably bring it back to Texas though.
Yeah, I think I loved Food and Wine Festival, but when we went, because I was having to also take in the thing that is Epcot
Yeah,
at the same time, it was, you're kind of all over the place and you're trying to enjoy food as you can. But like, oh, we can get this one food thing, but we've got to go get on this ride. And it's
We
just,
kind of crammed your Disney experience into 4 days, so
hmm.
I can understand that would not have maybe been the best experience.
But I think kind of going back on that topic, I think that SeaWorld San Antonio does a really good job with Seven Seas Food Festival.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to it this year. Unfortunately, we had the whole thing go down with all
Yep.
this, but just experiencing that last year, the way they executed it, um, the fact that it wasn't just completely phoned in was
Right.
great because
I mean, they definitely try to reach as far as they can with the culinary department in that park.
yeah, it looks like Zach has only been to Fright Fest at Over Texas. Um, he says it looks like Fiesta Texas is much better.
It depends on what you're looking for. I feel
Yeah,
like for
I
the
would,
shows, 100%.
yeah,
If that's what you're looking for, haunted houses. The decor of the haunted houses is better at Fiesta Texas, I think. But the overall like scare experience, I would say, is over Texas all day.
yeah. I would have to agree. Um, I think generally the houses are executed a little bit better in terms of scaring at Over Texas. The one big
Hmm.
benefit that Fiesta has with their event is that they leave it up all year.
Right.
So stuff doesn't get broken, stuff doesn't get damaged, theoretically.
And their
And
investment, I mean, they can spend a little more on their initial investment because they know they're able to leave it up all year, and it's not going to get damaged.
yeah, and then it's easy to add on to it, and you don't have to put
Right.
all the labor in to put it all back together what you had. And I think SFOT really runs into an issue of like, oh, well, half of this stuff got damaged because we have to keep moving it around, and we'll put it back in the house, but it's just gonna be there.
Not work, but it'll be there.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. I would definitely put Silver Dollar City, their Christmas event, way up on the list.
Yes. I
That
love.
is a lot of
Honestly,
fun.
any time you spend in that park is a blast, though. It's not.
Hmm.
They have a lot of fun festivals.
Yeah, they really do. It's I don't understand that theme park at all, and I mean that in a good way. It just functions at a really high level
Yeah,
all the time.
definitely. Yep.
And it's not Disney, but
It's as close as you get.
I don't know.
I,
So I think we kind of hit our nostalgic points. How about we jump into the new Six Flags make a reservation to visit the park situation?
do we have to?
I mean, I think I was actually a little bit impressed
Yeah.
by.
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I was impressed by how organized it seems like it's going to be. Whether it gets executed in that manner, that is a site that we will have to see.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, if you read over the FAQs, it seems like it's very well thought out. But as we've seen in the past, a lot of things that seem thought out that don't work. So not just there, but anywhere.
I think the whole timed entry situation is going to make a huge difference. Obviously, we don't know what Disney and Universal is going to do with their parks. We've seen what they're doing with their shopping areas, um,
Yeah.
which it looks like Disney has a much better grasp on that than Universal does, at least from the offset.
Yeah, but that's to be expected. I hate to say that about Universal. They've really made strides in the last few years, but Disney's always a few steps ahead of Universal, no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. I did see say whatever you want about the virus, about how much how bad or you think it is, or how not bad you think it is. There are definitely some specific guidelines that are very helpful,
Yeah.
and the 6 foot rule is a very helpful guideline. And looking at a video from Universal and just seeing everybody piled in a group waiting for them to go through the temperature check and the security was a little. It's like, well, there goes that.
Security is always a challenge at Universal, in my opinion. I think obviously they weren't built to have metal detectors and all of that, so they've kind of crammed them
Mm-hmm.
in the way airports have been a lot more challenging after they've had to increase security. So hopefully they figure that out. I think they probably need to consider doing it a little bit differently. I like how Disney's doing their checks versus how Universal's doing theirs. Disney's are not all in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes a huge difference, just helping space people out.
Yeah, it's interesting with Six Flags. It doesn't look like. I mean, they didn't mention any kind of temperature checking in any of their documentation. So,
I mean, I'm very pro doing everything we can to keep people from getting sick, but I think that might be the least helpful of the things. So I'm okay with them leaving that out if they feel like they should.
yeah, I mean, I understand it, but at the same time, I mean, you can totally have it and not have a temperature. So
Right.
it might help for a group of some people, whereas wearing a mask helps everybody. So, um,
Anyways,
it's at least what the scientists say, but we probably shouldn't trust them. I don't know.
anyways,
But yeah, I do think you'll definitely have to wear a mask at Six Flags. It looks like they're going to be selling them online. If
interesting. I
you,
didn't see that.
it said there was one section on there that said anything you've purchased, including a bag or a mask, has to be picked up before you actually go in.
Interesting.
So I don't know. There was apparently a survey going around that had mention of clear bags. I don't know if that was in reference to COVID or if that was just a new thought of
Safety thing. Yeah.
security. I could see it going both ways because maybe if your bag is clear, they don't have to touch it as much.
True.
So I don't know. They might be selling clear bags.
Hmm.
We'll see.
Like all the stadiums, I suppose it's not really any different.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I do. I'm not really worried about wearing a mask in the heat. I've been doing it at work for a couple weeks now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say it's the most pleasant thing I've ever done in my life, but I mean, if you want to go to a theme park, it's just what you're gonna do. So
Yep. It's yeah. I don't know. I don't know why it's such a debate. But we're not gonna get into that. I think if you
theme
don't,
park show, not a politics show. There's plenty of podcasts for that.
yeah, if you want to go somewhere that requires a mask and you don't want to wear the mask, then
Don't go.
yep, don't go. That's your option.
The end. Don't accost somebody for making you follow the rules. Just don't go.
Right. Yeah. Well, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask right now. I think, moving this has probably made it a little bit of a lighter crowd, but I actually can't tell because for some reason the live stream studio on YouTube, it's not keeping track of any stats for me.
Hmm.
So I have no idea
Good job,
how to gauge
YouTube.
how active the stream is.
Because
right
they're
now.
working from home.
But that's okay, you know. Someone asked, "How is quarantine going?" So it's funny. I am going into my normal job once or twice a week usually, and that's really just the nature of what's going on at my job right now. Some stuff has to kind of be accounted for. So I just have to go in and make sure certain things are happening. But with quarantine, I would say the first couple weeks of quarantine were really rough for me, which is funny because I'm honestly I really enjoy being home and not being around people. I know that sounds weird and makes me sound um, kind of weird, but my kind of concept to relaxing and unwinding is being home by myself, not around people. Whereas, some people want to be around other people when they're unwinding and relaxing. Um, but I was having a little bit of I guess it was like a doomed feeling, because things were so uncertain. But these days, it doesn't really bug me. I've kind of become super acclimated to it. Um, I'm not sure. What about you, Xander?
I mean, it's just another day.
Yeah,
It's, I'm not, yeah, I mean, I'm not loving it. I need to go somewhere. I need to travel. But
I feel you.
we're doing the right thing, so.
Yeah, I'm still very much, they're just they're like, oh, we're gonna open this and that and this and that and there's really no regard to what's actually happening with the pandemic on that note. We still, the amount of testing that's happening is probably around, I would say, 2% um, of the population in this country, at least. So really, we only know about people who have had a really bad experience with it, because those are
Or
the
people who
ones.
have been around people who have been sick, so.
Yeah, those are the ones who are actually going and getting tested. So I mean,
Right.
it's like it's hard to look at numbers and you don't really see it growing, but you don't see it declining. And I think that's just because everything is super limited still, and I guess it probably always will be. But I'm still very much of the mindset, if I don't need to be somewhere, I don't go. So I'll go out to get food. Um, I have actually strayed away from going into grocery stores. I usually just do some kind of grocery pickup.
Yep.
And it's just become life, I guess. But I've actually stayed super busy with the decade in review videos and the adding information to the website, so I do have a distraction. And I think a lot of people, if they don't have that distraction, it's probably a lot harder. Um, I'm a constant wheels turning person, so if I'm at home with nothing to do, I'm thinking, crap, what can I do? And that is how this YouTube channel existed and how the websites came online. So it's kind of bizarre. We do have a few questions. How long do you think this is going to last? Couple years? A year at least? Year and a half? I don't know.
At the
Um,
very least. Yeah, I mean, nobody knows.
I think the scary part right now is our country is becoming very desensitized to the situation, and we're kind of being told by our leaders that everything is okay. And I'm not convinced that it is because everybody else tells you it's not. So, in a sense, I feel like we're kind of digging a grave to a bigger problem right now. But I'm not a scientist. I don't think Xander's a scientist, so it's hard to know, what the impact of opening bars is and letting people into restaurants. I've read studies where someone could cough in a restaurant and the particles containing the virus can float around for hours.
Who knows?
I don't know. It's all kind of hearsay and it's constantly evolving. Um, Josh asked, "What do you think they're going to do with masks at the water parks?" I don't know.
I never even really thought about water parks because I really could care less what they do at a water park because I won't be there. But there's just not my thing. But, I mean, there's no way they make you wear a mask in the water.
Yeah.
So then, I guess when you get out of the water, you go back to your chair, put on your mask to go get food, to take off your mask. to eat. I don't know.
Unless
That's
they're going
really
to
weird. I never thought
provide.
about that.
I don't know. I don't see Six Flags providing anything, so never mind.
Yeah.
Uh, Someone asked, "Are the water parks going to be opening?" I
They're
assume
talking
so.
like they are. Yeah.
The way Six Flags has worded their information, it looks like they're going to open. I think that their water parks are a very big chunk of revenue in the summer for them. So, you know,
I mean, you can see that at Fiesta Texas in the summer. You can be in a parked parking lot and walk in and wonder where everybody is, and then you remember, oh, they're in the water park. Don't want to go there.
yeah, you could pull up, like he said, you could pull up to Fiesta. It looks super busy, and you're thinking, "Crap." You walk in, everybody's in the water park, or they're in line to get into the water park, which has to be the worst experience ever.
Well, it was, but now being socially distanced in the line may be the worst experience ever. Going forward, we'll see.
That's true, and you won't be able to book the VIP seating because everyone has access to the VIP seating now.
Yeah.
So, um,
And there probably will be half the amount of chairs now because of distancing. So, even better.
yeah,
Excuse me.
I think Disney will probably be able to have full control over what they do because they have the resources for that. They're able to go like, oh, we need more staff members. It's not going to be hard for them to do that.
No.
Six Flags, on the other hand, I have no clue how certain things are going to work, and
No. It's going to be an experience. I mean, I'm not really ready to go to a park, but I'm definitely going to go when they open just to like understand how it's working. That's, I mean, I guess more for everybody else too, so we know what to what to expect. But I want to see what they do. It's going to be interesting.
yeah, there's definitely a curiosity factor for me. I will probably go. I am not sure if I will ride or eat anything.
Yeah,
I might try to be as hands off as possible, but you know, I everyone was kind of assuming that the parks were going to open this week, and we've alluded to now for a while that that wasn't going to happen. They did their little press conference that they like to do, the government, and theme parks. I don't even think were a topic until it got brought up, right?
right. Yeah, he didn't say a word about theme parks until someone asked.
Yeah, so it's, I think I'll feel more comfortable going to an outdoor theme park than I will a restaurant.
I agree.
So there's at least that. I just don't. I I think once they say theme parks are good to go, then I would still add another few weeks on top of that before they open. I would think because I mean,
I mean, it depends on how ready they are. They could be ready to go today. We don't know. I doubt it, but
I'm thinking. I would assume that Six Flags hasn't really done anything in terms of physically at the park. I don't even know if their reservation system is fully developed.
I mean,
We'll see how easy it is for them to get employees back too.
yeah, I think that's going to be the first challenge is just trying to get people back. They're not the first business to reopen. In which case, if they were right on the cutting edge of reopening, they would have had it made. They would have been able to get anybody.
Yeah,
But the longer we wait, the more people get jobs elsewhere because they don't have a choice.
yeah, yeah. And let's see, Kyle said he's really not ready to go to a theme park yet, and he says he thinks it'll be a few months before he goes, maybe longer. I I'm kind of in that boat. I think if I didn't have this YouTube channel, then that would definitely be the case.
For sure.
Um, I said this to you kind of casually. I don't really see myself ending up at Fiesta Texas this year.
Not unless something changes drastically. It's just not. I mean, I don't think either of us are comfortable just from our conversation really staying in a hotel. Anything that involves a hotel, I think, is a no-go for me.
Yeah. For me, it's more of the other dynamics of traveling. It's a very hands-on situation. You have to rent a car that you don't know where it was. You have to,
That's
well,
the least of my worries, honestly, is the car, because no one's renting cars right now, so it's probably been sitting there for 45 days.
yeah, you don't have to rent a car, but I prefer to rent a car usually.
Yeah,
Obviously, I am not going to fly anywhere right now. Um, and yeah, the hotel is really the big gray area.
that's the one that worries me the most. I mean, I will say that the airline industry has to be on top of everything right now. Like, they have no choice. Hotels, good luck proving that that's where you got it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So they can kind of do whatever they want. I just don't think there's any good way to really disinfect a hotel room every single time someone checks out.
You'd have to nuke the thing and then leave it there for multiple days at a time.
Right. And I mean, I guess with very few people traveling, that might be an option, but I just don't. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, and I think if I might consider it if there was a hotel that was kind of blatantly just, hey, this is what we're doing.
Right. I mean, no one has come out like that in hotels. Yeah. I mean, airlines have definitely shown off what they're doing, but hotels, even rental car companies are doing things, but I haven't seen a hotel do a single thing. And the part of that is because they're all individually owned and operated. So
yeah,
there's not necessarily a standard. You can't force somebody to go buy a $100,000 machine to clean the hotel room that they're never going to have a return on.
Yep, it's rough, especially now that you've had no business flowing in for how many months.
Yeah.
So Kyle's said he's not sure how much fun it would be with all the restrictions. Yeah, that's a good point. I would not buy a single day ticket to go to a theme park right now. Or I should say when they open. Because it's just, I mean, what are you getting,
No.
And that's another important thing, is that Six Flags is not letting single day ticket purchases happen right off the bat. It's going to be members and season pass holders first, and then once that gets acclimated, which I would assume would probably be a few weeks maybe, then they'll open it back up to purchasing a ticket and going in. But
right.
Oh, that's a good question. Kyle said, what are your go-to hotels? I am much more flexible than Xander is.
Yes, much more. I'm a hotel snob. I'll admit it.
If I'm going to San Antonio, I actually haven't stayed in one of these in a while, but I really like the Drury Inns. The big problem with them is that they tend to be more expensive than everybody else. Every once in a while they're not, but I do like kind of the perks you get with it, where there's like a happy hour and that kind of stuff. So I think the last time I went to one, when it was around dinner time, you go down to the lobby and you get a card that gives you 2 free alcoholic beverages, and then they have, I think that day they had like pizza and some kind of pasta, so that was kind of cool. If you're not planning on being at the hotel much, it doesn't matter, but that was a situation for me where I was checking in at like 5 p.m. and it just worked out because I was already there. I don't have a problem with Hampton Inn. I know that Xander is not a huge fan of Hampton Inn.
No, I'm not a huge fan of anything Hilton, honestly. I just have not had good experiences overall with them. I prefer Marriott.
There is that one Courtyard in San Antonio that's like caving in on itself.
I did not like that. No. There's definitely some bad Marriott properties out there. I did not like that one.
Yeah, so there's a Courtyard. Where is that? That's like at 410 and 281.
Yeah, something like that.
Ish.
I would not stay there. Behind a Pappadeaux, right? That's all I remember.
There's that 4 Points, that Sheridan over there. That one's really nice.
Okay. I really like the Spring Hill Suites at the Rim. That's probably my favorite. Like when sometimes it's super expensive and I will not pay that much, but when it's cheap, that's my go-to.
I've stayed at that Holiday Inn over by SeaWorld, and
Hmm.
it was okay.
I had a great experience there, and then I realized it was probably 15 years ago.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay,
it was a little.
maybe Bryant's okay is probably more accurate.
It was a little bit dirty. I definitely took pictures of some things and sent them
Oh, that
to.
the town place outside of SeaWorld is really good
Is
too.
that the brand new one?
Yep, right across the street from SeaWorld. It's so convenient.
Oh, I've never.
That's how we like that Motel 6 by Fiesta Texas. I have actually stayed there. Yep, that's
I
all.
think you've told me that before.
Yep, I stayed there. I had to be probably 12. I stayed there with my mom when we went down to Fiesta Texas for my first time. It was not good. Not good at all. And I can't imagine what it's like now. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think all Motel 6s are probably sketchy, but that one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I would not.
I've stayed at a brand new Studio 6 before, and it was totally fine.
I mean, I stayed at even a sketchy looking, like, redone Motel 6 in California recently, and it was fine. There's nothing, like, inherently wrong with Motel 6. If you just need a place to sleep,
Yeah.
it's cheap. But there are bad ones.
Yeah, Kyle, I've never stayed at the Berry Farm Hotel. We stayed at a Fairfield, right, over by Disneyland.
Yes, and that was awful. No, we stayed at the Fairfield by Knott's Berry Farm, didn't we? Oh, no, you did
I
that when you
did.
went back.
Don't stay
Yes,
there.
no, don't stay there. I've stayed at the Knott's Hotel. It's okay. It needs a redo.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed there last summer for CoasterCon. It's very convenient.
Yeah.
I mean, there may not be a hotel at an amusement park that's more convenient than the Knott's Berry Farm Hotel. Even at Cedar Point, the Breakers is less convenient than that.
Yeah, I definitely, for those of you who are curious about the hotel thing, if you're going to a park that has hotels, check them out.
Just do it. Just
Yeah.
do it. Even if they're not the best,
Mhm.
like highest quality, it's well worth not having to drive to a park.
Yeah, that's true. Econo Lodge near Busch Gardens, Tampa. Yeah, you don't have to worry. I wouldn't have done that.
I don't even want to stay in Tampa, really.
Yeah,
That's a day trip over from Orlando for me. I don't need to stay in Tampa. No offense to anybody that lives there, but
I think
it's not for me.
Branson is a little bit rough.
I never stay in Branson. I always stay in Springfield. It's a horrible drive. It's horrible if you're in the park all day, but I don't care.
Yeah.
There's some nice hotels in Branson, but they're always $200 a night, and I can't.
Where's that one we stayed at that was like basically an apartment? You know what I'm talking about? It was.
Oh, was that? Oh, the one in
That
Branson?
was SpringCon for Ace.
Yeah, that was a Marriott. It was a Marriott Village. That one was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But that one is normally very expensive too, especially in the summer. We got lucky because we were on like a down week.
Yeah. So I know Xander likes to stick with Marriott.
I
Excuse me.
do.
For me, I don't
I like
mind
my
Hilton.
points.
I don't mind the Hampton. Now for Hampton Inn, it's definitely like a let me look at it, look at pictures and look at where it's located type of thing.
I mean, that's every hotel, honestly.
Yeah.
There are terrible of every brand.
But like the Hampton that's closest to Fiesta, I don't have a problem with that one.
It's not I've stayed there with you. It's not the worst hotel.
Yeah. I can usually.
I'm not jumping for joy to stay there, but it's for a Hampton, it's all right. And it's usually cheap.
Yeah, for usually the price you get there is like.
I mean, if you've gotten $60 there before, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean that you can't beat that.
During a time where it should not be.
So, Kyle said it was super spur of the moment. I think it might have to be for me to stay in Tampa. I can't imagine how. Even I don't like to plan, but boy, I don't know.
When we went
How
up
far
the
do I have to
East
drive?
Coast, we stayed at some pretty nice places. We stayed at a La Quinta when we went to Atlanta. You remember that?
We did. That was an experience,
It
but it was pretty
yeah, it
nice.
wasn't that
It was nice
bad.
enough. That area is just not the best, but
Yeah.
we needed somewhere close to the airport that night because we got in at like midnight. So, and then we had to go have Chick-fil-A at midnight.
24-hour Chick-fil-A. Yeah, if anyone has any kind of final questions, feel free to kind of cycle those in. Um, we released some new merch. I'm going to do a merch plug right now. This is one of our Big Bend t-shirts. You can get that on our merch shop. That's in the description. You'll find a link there. And this is a really comfortable shirt. So, Kyle asked about the Hilton besides SeaWorld. I haven't stayed there. Have you, Xander?
I've never stayed there. I'm actually looking at pictures right now because I was curious. It looks nice. I don't see why that would be a bad thing.
So if you don't
super convenient.
If you don't mind Hilton, there's a part of, and I know I keep talking about San Antonio because that's where
we stay in hotels. We don't. I mean,
yeah.
I know enough people in DFW that I have not stayed in a hotel in DFW in a long time. Especially not near Six Flags.
If you don't mind being a little ways out from Fiesta, that Live Oak area, which is basically at the corner of 35 and 1604, there's a Hilton Garden Inn that's only 3 or 4 years old, and sometimes they've got some really cheap rooms. And
it's only 20 minutes to the park from there. It's not.
No, it's not.
I
bad.
mean, not on Sunday morning. I wouldn't do that on Sunday morning, but 1604 with all the churches on Sundays is crazy. But if you're just going like on a Saturday morning, you'll have no problem getting over there.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I don't really pay attention to the churches because it's just a thing there, and
it's crazy.
I've been there so many times now that it's like Sunday, no one's going to be out before noon, type of thing.
Unless you try to go somewhere at 9 a.m. and then good luck. Yeah.
But yeah, Kyle, you'll have to stay at that Hilton and
let us know. It'd be nice to have another place by SeaWorld to stay.
Yeah, I did a little. It's been a while now, maybe like a year, but on SFFT Source, I did like a Q blog post about my top hotels in San Antonio. Nice. So, feel free to go check that out. It'll kind of put some pictures to the names, and you can kind of see what's going on. I know you're probably not planning on staying in a hotel right now, but when you are,
there will be a time.
I still definitely stand by those choices. Is it worth traveling to get to Great America, or just go to...
Oh, yes. Definitely go to Great America. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
If I were to choose between going to Great America, Great Adventure, or America, I think I would choose Great America.
At this era in Six Flags, yes.
Yes.
Maybe not.
I mean, America
is
what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad place, but it's not the best. And Great Adventure isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
I think is how I'm going to put that nicely.
I think from an aesthetic standpoint, it's...
And I don't think Great America, honestly, is what it used to be either. But they have some great rides there, so...
And what's funny is we did that trip where we threw in Six Flags America just kind of...
For like an hour and a half.
Last minute, just blew through that park. And it was pleasantly not bad.
I think your expectations were set properly, too.
But, I mean, it was clean. Everyone was friendly.
It was very clean.
And,
yeah. Everybody's having a good time. I think that's what I noticed the most about the employees there, is that they didn't appear to not want to be there, which I thought was impressive because I've been to that park in the past, and it has not felt that way.
And
So
you could go tomorrow and it could be completely different, but
you never
the
know. Well,
specific day and time that we were there, because this is how you have to gauge Six Flags visits.
yes.
It was
No two experiences will ever be the same.
yeah, and I haven't been to Great America since I was a kid, and even when I did go, I didn't do anything because I was terrified. So it's just it's whatever.
Well, those are good places to go. I mean, never been to anywhere but Disney World, Universal Orlando, or Busch Gardens. I kind of wish I could say that,
Well,
to be
if you're
honest.
going to a Six Flags park, brace yourself.
Yeah,
It is not going to be the same experience.
as even Busch Gardens. Nope.
Right. Yeah, I was trying to get to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, this spring, but so
Not so much.
would would Fiesta reopen before Fright Fest or July? Probably not before July, but
If they do, it'll probably be the last week of June at this point. I can't imagine they're just going to suddenly open.
yeah, um, they might be a little more gung ho to open than over Texas, but we'll see. I'm sure that they will be urged to open at the same time. So the virus situation seems to be pretty much the same from there to here. So I don't know. It's like asking, what the weather's going to be like in a year. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Or even tomorrow in Texas, let's be honest.
Yeah. But I would definitely think they're open before Fright Fest.
And I think their goal is probably to be open before the 4th of July. I mean, I really do think that that's what they're shooting for. I think somewhere in that first week of July is probably the goal. Now, I can't say that because I know anything. I don't, but I'm just imagining the way things are going, the way they're releasing information, etc.
Yeah, I that's kind of what I'm thinking too. If you go to the main, everyone was freaking out about the calendar flipping back and forth, and I mean, it was the most Six Flags website thing ever happening. Um,
This is why we say never trust the website.
yeah, but they have taken. So before, if you went and looked at their COVID-19 announcements on those pages, it would say, mid-May or soon thereafter, but now it just says we are temporarily closed, and there is no timetable because I don't think even they know. So
I will say they're working to get the Safari back open at Great Adventure too. That's probably maybe the first thing that'll open.
yeah,
We'll see.
yeah. For those of you who haven't seen that, they have the Safari at Great Adventure, and they're gonna bring back the whole concept of driving your own car through it. So
Smart.
yeah,
Get some revenue going, and it's not something that they've never done before. So
someone asked, "Do you think SeaWorld will open before Fiesta?" I would imagine that they would open in the same time frame.
oh
They
yeah,
have to be allowed to open first.
I think they're probably going to be ready to go day one. They're allowed to open. I think that they already know what their date is. If I had to
Yeah.
guess,
It's interesting though.
there's a
'Cause
lot of things that
Joyland-
get announced to the larger corporations before anybody else knows. So.
Yeah, yeah. Any news on construction at SeaWorld? No. Um, do I think it'll open do I think Aquaman at Over Texas will open when the park opens? No.
No,
Um,
they got to get that revenue going before they're going to continue these construction projects. It's just a fact of life, I think.
yeah, it does. It does look like construction is at a standstill with Aquaman. I mean, I don't work for the park. I haven't been to the park, but it does look like they got the actual structure of the ride built and they got the trough done. Probably because those are things that had to be systematically finished within a certain amount of time for it to all come together. And it looked like they built a structure to hold either electrical or pumps or some kind of component that makes the ride function. But yeah, beyond that, it doesn't look like anything has happened. And um, you can kind of look at a construction site and tell when it's how active it is based off the equipment and how clean it is and all of that. And when the news flew over Six Flags to show it off, it looked like they finished the last thing they were going to finish in that, and it was done, and they were done for that point in time. So
apparently today we missed this, but Great Adventure announced that the safari opens May 30th.
Okay.
So that's a thing.
So
and they're going to start taking reservations on May 27th. So get 3 whole days of advanced registration on that. So
yeah, and
let's everybody book all of our travel and hope that we can get a reservation to go to the safari.
I think maybe something I'll try is to get onto that reservation system and just see how it functions. Maybe record that. 'Cause
I was hopeful that it was already open, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't gotten any news from Fiesta Texas lately. They've been pretty quiet over the last few weeks. So that ride's just going to go up, though. So
I mean, putting it together, actual assembly is maybe a 2-day project, 3-day project. It's all the wiring and testing and all of that has to take place afterward. That's going to take time on that ride.
Yeah, if there's one thing I can say is be patient, be practical when you revisit the parks, so that they're not you're not all willy-nilly. Things aren't just going to willy-nilly all be the same. And
yeah, definitely not.
You got to have that perspective going in, or you're going to be very disappointed. And since SFFT has reservations, do you think they will do the same? Well, all the parks are going to have the reservations. All the Six Flags parks will.
Yeah.
But we don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, all we can see is a button that says reservations. So that's what we know at this point.
I'm sure that there's a dynamic with Great Adventure where they're working feverishly to get the reservation system sound while also trying to open the safari as soon as possible.
That'll be a nice test for the reservation system as well, which I'm sure they're working through just to see if it works before they open anything else.
Yeah, that'll be a nice kind of starting point for them. But I think we're probably about at the end of the live stream, and I appreciate everyone jumping in and hanging out. We're trying to do live streams, while we can't go to a park, just to talk and interact with people. And you don't quite have the human factor if you're quarantining, so hopefully this helps. There will be probably the next big video we work on. Hopefully y'all saw the Decade in Review for Over Texas from 2000 to 2009. That was a pretty crazy video to make, and you better watch out, Xander. You're being attacked.
Apparently. I think Six Flags came for me.
We will probably do another Decade in Review video for Over Texas. That'll probably be the next one again, probably the 90s, just because
it's easier.
It's easier, number one, but number two, I'm really trying to compile Fiesta information as much as I can. And there's only, like 2 more of those that can be made.
Yeah, I was about to say there's a lot more Over Texas ones to make, so.
Yeah, so. But I think that's going to do it for the stream.
Yep.
For some reason, your feed got smaller, but it's okay because it's the end of the stream. So thank y'all for joining us,
Weird.
and we will try to do another one here in a couple weeks. Y'all have a good evening.